Jai Young here. Are you ready to tell your story? To do so, you'll craft a narrative. There are many types of narrative writing. For instance, a memoir is a narrative that recounts significant events in the writer's life. Memoirs tell of events that happened in the writer's past. Short stories are also examples of narratives. These fictional stories contain developed characters and settings, and a chain of events that leads to a climax and a resolution. Short stories can be realistic or can be fantasy. All narratives tell stories, and stories are a bit like taking a trip. They transport the reader to a different time or place. When you take a trip in real life, you use a map. When you write a story, you make a map for your characters and readers to follow. To map the elements of your narrative, you need to do some brainstorming first. Think about the goals and the audience for your narrative. Are you writing a thriller set in an exotic city that will have your audience on the edge of their seats? Would you prefer a fairy tale set in a pastoral village? An adventure on a distant island? Thinking about your goals and your audience will help define the outlines for your map. Next, decide who or what your characters will be. Think about their physical features, as well as their mannerisms. Do they walk a certain way? Is there something special about the way they dress? To develop rich characters, think about their personalities, their feelings, and what motivates them. Most short stories have two or more compelling characters who interact with each other. Then, think about your setting. Some of this will be defined from your brainstorming session, but start adding details to the map. Are there specific features of the setting that characters will interact with? Maybe they will have to trek through mountains, or journey through a dense jungle. Think about how the setting will affect the story. Now, map out your plot. The plot is like the road, or trail, that the characters take through your map. When mapping your story, think about the central conflict in the narrative, and how will it resolve. The conflict should start at the complicating incident, which happens early in the story, after you've introduced the characters, and lead to a climax. All the events in the story should move the characters toward the climax. Begin to place those events on your map. Think of them as landmarks the characters will pass on the way to the highest point of the story. Finally, think about how you will resolve the conflict. How will the story end? Remember that even within a short story, there can be multiple plot lines working together. For instance, perhaps the two main characters live in separate places at the beginning of the story and meet during the introduction. Or perhaps their meeting is the complicating incident. As the writer, you have the freedom to make your characters follow whatever map you set for them. Regardless of the type of narrative you choose to tell, start by mapping your story elements. Doing so will make the writing process faster and easier, and it will keep you on track while writing. What will your map look like?